All right, cool. So I just dropped the invitation for anybody else who wants to come on the stream. And then also, too, I know one of the things people have been patiently waiting for is also our comments on Kamen America 5, because the digital dropped last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've read it. Joey, you said you've read it?
Yep, read the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, and there's Dave's Volt right there.
Wait, why is my screen doing that shit? Hold on.
There you go.
Oh, you guys want to see my background? Hold on.
This isn't going to be a Kurt Eichenwald situation, is it?
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got that background too.
Yeah. That's Geosone. Like they've done. I've been trying to collect all the Geosone ones. I know there's at least like 7 or 8 that he's done for Kamen America.
That's a good one.
Wait, didn't he do like a River City one? That was a great one.
Like River City Ransom?
I think so.
That game is amazing.
Is that the one where is that the one with Carly and Misha in like the casual clothes?
Yeah.
And Carly's got the baseball bat?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep. Yeah, that was a go. I think they do stickers at conventions now too. For that one.
I just love that they brought back the keytar for this picture. I mean, you're like, we're going to make our keyboardists try to be cool. We're going to do a keytar. Wait a second. Is that a regular guitar or a bass guitar?
I'm not.
I'm seeing 4 strings.
No.
So that's a bass.
So we've got a keytar and a bass, a lead singer and a drummer. So we've got no actual rhythm guitar. Interesting. I don't know if I'm picking up on nitpicking by saying that.
See, this is, and so yes, as far as commission art goes, this is one of the other fun things too, is when you start nitpicking little details like that. I know another fun one is was that trigger discipline whenever there's guns. Because,
oh my gosh. I've had that a couple times.
Yeah, because if there's like the finger is on the trigger, it means that they're about to shoot or they don't realize that the gun could go off as they're holding it.
It's one of the universal safety rules. Keep your finger straight and off the trigger until ready to fire.
Right. So like if you don't do it, it means you're undisciplined. All right, cool. So also for the other guys on the stream, have y'all read Kamen America 5 yet?
I have.
I haven't. So I might be very quiet just because you guys knew about my situation in life lately, so I held off on doing crowdfunding stuff for a little bit.
Yeah, no, totally understandable, dude. And because yeah, I know there's been a lot of discussion about this most recent episode that came out, and in that case, Vinny, I hope you don't mind, because there will be a few spoilers as we discuss this, because right, there was, I wouldn't call it controversy, but it's kind of like everyone's evaluating, like, is it living up to the previous saga? Because we're obviously starting off the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of debated, but I know like some people said that this episode or this issue was kind of muddled and confused. And then but I've also heard some people say like, no, it's pretty reasonable given what they're trying to do. I know in interviews I've heard Mark mention that initially he planned out 12 issues. And recently I saw on Twitter he mentioned about a 3rd and a 4th saga, which implies like 12 to 16 in total issues now. And we're only on issue 5. So of course, right, and I've learned this writing Petro Patriot, right? Like you like write out the whole story arc and it's like, okay, what clues do I want to drop in this issue? And it's always this challenge of like, you don't want to add too much, but you do want to make sure it's there. So when it comes up in a later issue, the reader's like, oh, that's what they were talking about here.
So here's what I want to say about it. Just, this is my very broad impression. In my opinion, as a standalone, it was the weakest issue yet that got me the most excited.
Okay.
Because, well, that's kind of a spoiler, but I am the most excited for future issues. But by itself, I think it was the weakest issue, which
So-
you kind of have to expect because the first major arc was resolved, and most of this issue is set up for new arc.
So what you're saying is it's the Iron Man 2 of Kamen America.
It could be. It could
Because
be.
if people remember, Iron Man 2 got criticized because the MCU had gotten really popular, so they were rushing to lay the groundwork for like the umpteen movies that were going to become the Avengers. So Iron Man 2, they're throwing Black Widow in, they're throwing the Captain America shield in, they're throwing everything in so that they can try to lay groundwork to set up the Avengers. And it be made Iron Man 2, by most critical analysis, a muddled kind of movie that was okay, but was more, promising in what it was offering for the future of the MCU than what it was delivering as a standalone movie.
Yeah, and you can't have what's coming without what we got. Like it just wouldn't make any sense.
That's
And-
very true.
And they put in this groundwork for this crossover that I'm really excited about because, well,
Yeah, you're not wrong, actually.
I'm a huge fan of another series. So
Oh, that's right. And I love the title for it. It's literally Kamen America X Soulfinder X Black Ops. So it's like it's a triple crossover.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was looking at the comment from Mr. X here. A lot going on, but I get that's the plan to plant seeds for the future. It felt stuff for sure, but didn't have much of an issue with it. I know because like I'm the catalytic storytelling guy. Right. So like what I call catalytic storytelling is the idea is if you look at character states, right? A story in its most simple form is they start at one state, they end in another state, and then there's some activating event in the middle. Right. And so either they have to choose something to reveal their character that you didn't know before, or they're going to start as one person, end as another person. And in that sense, like something I actually liked as I'm starting to like analyze the Kamen America issues in that sense is that actually each issue you could probably pull out like 4 or 5 mini stories that kind of then combine together into one larger one. And so because of that, that means things are always happening. And because things are always happening, you never feel bored. And I think, yeah, the challenge for this one was, right, a lot of the mini stories weren't fully tied to each other because you've got, right, one of the child callbacks, and then you've got an event that they do, and all of a sudden Carly's pulled away, and then that becomes its own kind of like side quest that she does, facing one of the enemies from Kamen America 4. And then there's like traveling and the love triangle, and like all this is going on. But what did end up being good is you go back and you look at it again, and if you just look at Carly's character state, the kind of like semi-muddled nature of the story actually communicates that Carly herself is in kind of this muddled state because she's got all these different things pulling her in different directions, and she knows that, right, Mish is stealing her boyfriend, but she's like, oh, but like I've got work and I've got superhero work and I've got and what's going on with Vicky, and she's being pulled 5 different directions, and the story feels that way. But then after all of that's done, she does get one challenge thrown at her to grow, and then she does choose to grow by making a decision that she fails to do initially. And so at the end, you do feel like you got a complete story out of it, even as like all of these pieces are getting thrown at you.
yeah, I can see that. I will say, and Vinny knows that I hate when this happens, but I will say I observed a little bit of Kamen America making some of the same mistakes she made with certain members of her party. And those were the ones that led to the problem in the first major arc, where it's like, hey, Kamen Ramen's trying to be a part of this team, trying to be a valuable member, trying to help you out, and you're like, nope, not doing it. Don't want the help.
If you'd like to hear
Plays
2
out
more,
poorly for you.
yeah, if you'd like to hear 2 more hours of Joey nitpicking on a character not learning from mistakes and growing, you can check out our Weeb Out episode on ReZero, because that's basically the main flaw and argument he had with that, which is that the main character wasn't learning and growing consistently. So I think it's more natural storytelling that people tend to fall back into their bad habits. And so it's not a terrible choice from a character standpoint to show them still maybe making the same mistakes occasionally. But that's just me. I haven't read it, so I can't speak to Kamen America 5.
Yeah, because I do feel like she did make a step forward right at the end. In which, like,
yeah, right at the end,
very
they
true.
did correct. They seemed like she was starting to realize, but
but at the same time too, you're right. Like there were definitely, as far as them trying to set up like future episodes, there were enough Chekhov's guns to fill an arsenal, and then also there were enough unresolved conflicts. Like it'll probably take several issues just to like unwind everything that happened in this episode.
To address Xander's comment there, I don't even know if you would say it's fumbling. I just don't think she can manage all the things she's got to manage. She kind of needs another character in there. Maybe one who went to jail but was a good person overall. Like, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Someone who could organize these things and keep a schedule going and do some of the time management.
That's right. Or like a certain brand manager that needs to like stop running off to the gun show with somebody else.
No. Listen, okay. We know my opinion on that. Misha is best girl, and he picked the best girl. It's just how it is.
Well, I take issue with that because Kimiko is the best girl. So I don't think you've got the right basis there.
I have the correct opinion on this one.
I'm sorry, dude, but this time you're wrong. See, now we've got like a common franchise we can all have like a nice waifu war over.
You're not wrong.
I mean,
because we've also got, I'm sure we've got some Sylvia Simpson here too.
Look, I'm gonna say don't sleep on Black Ops and our lead character. Yeah, just saying that there's more than one franchise in Iconic.
I know.
Yeah, we know.
We know, like we say it so negative.
Of course, the and by the way, Star Storyteller, yes, this is the correct take here. You read this comic because one thing I will say is like it's very, very refreshing to read a comic that does get into certain contemporary matters, but at the same time, like it's classic American values. It's a character that has a value system that you can also get behind, and and it's just a fun story, right? Like you don't feel like it's like some kind of like activist session where they're like, hey, like here's the 5 impossible things before breakfast you need to believe because we made your former favorite character say it.
I'm sorry. I'm mesmerized by watching the chat fight over who's best girl now.
That's right.
Are you serious?
People are talking about Sylvia now. Who cares about Sylvia?
Yeah, I don't understand the Sylvia.
She's an obnoxious rich girl.
I mean, yeah, but she had a change of heart. Like, give her some credit, would you?
I mean, she had a change of heart, but her personality is still repellent.
Is it though?
I like Misha. She's straightforward. She's like, I want that, so I'm gonna take it.
Okay, yeah.
Misha that was yours? Well, you didn't lock it down. It was out there on the table, so I took it. You want it back? Then say you want it back. Oh, you don't have time to say you want it back? I guess it's mine.
Oh God. Man, when you just had to put it that way. Gosh.
I was gonna say, but consider like Kimiko, she's so dedicated to make sure she's doing a good job and like keeping the team together. And then we also found out that that there's more to her than also just being like the quiet nice girl too. Once we got the image of like her room from when she was a kid, so I don't know, man.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I do have a soft spot for Kimiko. She really does remind me of how I tend to be. Like, I want to do the best that I can, and I don't want to let anybody down, but I can also be quiet and reserved. So yeah, I connect with Kimiko a lot more.
Yeah.
And I do also like Misha.
Yeah, and I think because this is also from a writing perspective too, like because like I'm trying to learn to become a better comic writer for my own series. So like one thing I do like to do with this story is also just like dive into like what makes it so good. And this is one of the things is that right, we currently have 4 girls. I'm sure somehow Vicky's going to be brought back, so we're going to have 5. And there is, if you go to tvtropes.com, there is the concept of the 5-man band, and each one has a different personality. And what makes that good is like everyone has someone in the group that they kind of latch on to because of that, right? Everyone's got characters that they enjoy. Even and what's funny is oftentimes it's not the leader, even though like everybody respects the leader.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
The other thing too is if Misha actually does steal Siggy and Siggy makes that mistake, then clearly, given the most recent collector
You
cover,
need to watch the chat because the chat has the right of it at this point. Okay.
I know, but I think the ship for Carly now is going to be Carly and Vanilla Ice, given the recent cover.
Isn't that a bit of a stretch?
Yeah, but did you see the collector cover though?
Well, yeah, I have. Like, wasn't that
Yeah.
from several months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I think I got one of those out of the campaign. So, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll end up seeing how this whole thing resolves. Right? Is it going to be like the classic American dream, or like is it? Because this was the other thing about the theme for Kamen America 5 was 1 through 4 was just, if you think about it thematically, it's Carly's deciding that yes, like I am Kamen America, I do embody these values, and yes, I am a fashion girl, and like we're gonna do this. And then Kamen America 5, I think the scene both with Kimiko but also with Sylvia was really important because apparently Carly didn't know that Sylvia's bait and tackle shop was essentially their version of Bass Pro Shops, complete with the pyramid.
That got me too.
Yeah. And so the thing about it is like they're trying to tell her like, hey, like you're not gonna be just working out of the shed that you built when you were a kid. And what's interesting is that also at the end of Kamen America 4, Vicky blows up their shed, and like there's a new shed now that's bigger. And there is a symbolism in that to say like, right, like Carly is now getting ready to take the next step towards her destiny, which means like she has to accept she's going to become more than what she was before. And that can be a difficult step for a lot of people to take.
Yeah, she's getting caught up in a lot of tunnel vision, like trying to be so hyper focused on the thing that she's pursuing, and it's like, okay, but there's all these other pursuits too, and they're falling to the wayside. You got to find a way to manage.
Yeah, because they're kind of like two different like. I think there's kind of like 2 different big challenges there. One is she's being pulled between being a superhero, fashion designer, and then also her personal relationships. Like she's getting pulled in those 3 different directions. But the other part of it too is specifically on the fashion designer part of it is, and what's funny is this goes back, because I know some of this is also just a metaphor for creators, period, right? This goes back to the idea of there are a lot of creators like, man, like if I could just like make my comic book and I sell like 100 or 200 copies, like that would just be so awesome. And what if you actually do have a really good idea and you need to grow to take on the next Marvel, right? Like you need to become the next Marvel. It's like, well, don't be afraid that you're going to have all these trials and challenges that'll come with that. Like just accept that, like, you know, you were given these talents to reach this destiny, and don't be afraid of the destiny.
Right.
What that also means is you have to like regularly think about like, what does it mean to live those values? Because again, if you don't make that step into a larger role without also getting everything else in the right place, you could lose everything. So yeah, we'll see how we do this.
Yeah, this will be really, really interesting. I mean, it does take a lot to get out of your comfort zone. I mean, I've had to do that, like, even back in high school when I had to grow my art style, or I had to, like, get out of what I was busy drawing and just try something new that you've never really done before. It takes a lot.
Saying then Rob Crow's got a good point here. Carly, the odd woman out. The three other girls are people belonging to these great companies and legacies. And that's true because Misha had Ningen. And the other two girls have their companies that they're active with. And so the funny thing about that is it's almost like those three are around Carly to bring her up into that next step.
Yeah, quick side note. It sounds like we're about to lose one of our hosts.
Yeah, I gotta jump off a little early tonight. I have some real world tasks that I need to complete that will hopefully put me in a position to be able to crowdfund more things again. So,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
No worries.
I mean, it's not like it's not like our primary business model is, like running this show and just like slinging mud at people.
not yet, because I mean, if all the people watching would like to support Little Chad on Subscribestar or more, can make some of those things, maybe I could stick around longer. But I've got to actually make sure I'm keeping the day job pretty solid.
Yes.
So unlike normally, I'm usually down for the cause and can go as long as it takes. I do have to hop out. So it's been a great chat. I haven't read Kamen America 5 yet anyway, so it'll be more fun for you guys. Probably I wasn't adding too much. I'll be able to see everybody next week and maybe record, and you guys will check out the Weeb out when we put that one live as well. So
That's
I'll see
right.
everybody later.
And just
Awesome.
remember, Vinny, Snape kills Dumbledore.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
And Darth Vader is Luke
Great to meet
Skywalker's
you.
father.
Did I ever tell you it was on Opie and Anthony, and it made me laugh hysterically. It was they had a guy, an intern, go right outside like Barnes and Noble at like midnight when everybody was lined up for that Harry Potter book. And as everyone's lined up, he just is walking around yelling, "Snape kills Dumbledore, Snape kills Dumbledore." Oh, it was, and I think some kids and parents were gonna just like beat the crap out of this guy. But it made me laugh hysterically. But
Well, in that case, the one spell we'll give you is Kimiko has a pet duck. That's it.
that's Quackers.
Was it a duck? I thought it was a
I think it was a duck.
It was a duck, and it's styled after the duck in Little Nuns.
There you go. Nice.
Well, we'll keep
had
all the
no
other-
Hold on, I got
idea.
that pulled up. I gotta look
All right.
again.
I'll let you-
Yeah, I got to reread that again.
All
Hold
right,
on.
there you go. You guys can go debate the duck versus chicken and go from there. I'll see
All
you
right,
guys
well, you
next
have a
week.
good night, sir.
All right. Bye,
All right,
everybody.
Good night. Nice to meet you.
Yep.
Nice meeting you too. Bye, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So Rob Kuro, yes. This is our current fan speculation right here. So it's Misha, Kimiko, and Sylvia. Because the thing is that you're right, like Carly starts off as the girl next door, right? Running like a little like dress shop out of a shed that she built when she was 5. And she was like, and if you remember, like this goes all the way back to issue 1, right? Like she's doing the USO shows and nothing's gaining traction, nothing's taken off. And then she's like, oh, now I got superpowers. I can rebrand myself. And so she just latched on to the first thing that would get her a bigger spotlight, and it didn't work. And so now it does seem like, hey, like now she has people with actual business experiences around her to help her kind of like start climbing that ladder. And so it's both she has to accept the growth, and then the question is, can she also learn to balance all the different new demands on her time, or is she going to get so busy that, right, certain small details of her life fall apart? She fails to pay attention to friends. She fails to, right, keep things moving forward with her boyfriend, in which case her boyfriend will just become her brand manager while he goes off with Misha. We'll see.
I don't know. Now it kind of looks like a duck, but I
Hey, are
can't.
we still looking at this? Hang on. Let me find it.
It's like a Minecraft duck. I can't tell.
Shuba Shuba. That's all I know.
I mean, yeah, that does look like a duck. I mean, it's got a pink bow, right?
Yeah, but it's got like the pointed beak, like a chicken.
I mean, I
can't.
Yeah, I wish I could share my screen right now.
And it's fat like a chicken. It's not fat like a duck isn't fat.
Yeah, you gotta read the Little Nuns comic, dude. Because Mark is a big fan of Little Nuns.
Oh, true. I think I've seen Little Nun. Wait,
Yeah.
don't they post like little comic strips like every week or a new
Every
illustration
day.
like, every day? Actually,
Every day. I'm on his Patreon, so like it's every day. Plus, he also does extra art on his Patreon. And we'll bring up this comment real quick in a minute. But yeah, so yeah, if you guys have not checked out Little Nuns, you gotta like get on that Twitter channel and subscribe, because he has a new one every single day. And it's about this group of nuns with their ducks and other animals just making trouble all the time. And of course, every single page has a hidden chicken in it, so you got to find the chicken. Or I should say the rooster. Yeah. And now for Mr. X's comment here, yeah, you can say that, but Siggy himself hasn't said anything, which just rattles me even more than Carly's shenanigans. I was going to say, like, Siggy is, like, really soft in the story on this matter. Even the moment where, like...
On that matter, yeah, but you can't say he's really soft. Dude drove a forklift through a bunch of bad guys.
Through a robot, yeah, Sigma Siggy. But no, the reason I say that is, like, you get that moment where, like, Carly and Misha have this standoff, and right, like he's the man, like he's got to like say something, like he's got to decide like which girl is he going to go for.
I mean, he doesn't though. Like he's already he's with Misha. Like there's no question about that. He's with her. Carly didn't say anything. The opportunity passed her by. I don't know that it's coming back.
I was going to say she did seem to sound a little bit more defeated in issue 5, so it seems like that might be the case.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too.
And I think this is also like a good writing question as well, because I know from like just the artistic presentation, like once Misha starts working at the gun shop, that's like, for me, that's what tripped up to me. It's like, okay, something's going on, because if a guy and a girl spend significant time together, especially alone, right? Like that always implies like some relationship has a potential to start.
True.
And then yeah, Rob, of course, makes a good point here, because from the writing perspective, this is the thing about the love triangle, is like you're trying to keep it open as long as possible so that when it ultimately resolves, you it's plausible that it was open for whichever of the two.
Also, if I remember correctly, in the first arc, there was a time when Siggy tried to tell Carly how he felt, and she brushed him off. Like, I'm sorry, but like, ball ain't in Sig's court anymore. Like, it's on Carly at this point.
Yep. Yeah, and also I kind of appreciated about the writing style too, that it's kind of like the opportunity was there, and it's interesting because you're right. Like that wasn't that like issue? Was that issue 2 or 3 that happened?
It was pretty early. It was a flashback, but it was one of the earlier issues. And,
yeah,
and that kind of thing, like from a guy's perspective, that kind of thing never leaves you. Like that is what he's holding on to.
Yes. Because I know issue 2 is when you realize that they were probably more than friends, right? And I think issue 3 was the one where like they do the flashback to high school and talking about the graduation deal. And so this is also the thing I like about the story construction too, is that even though it's not like a major issue, the fact that it's still there and they're still making comments about it tells you like it will become important to the cohesion of the team at some point in the future. So we've got, because I think like there is another good team challenge that's going to come up. So we've got like Sylvia's mother, right, is the apparent main bad guy for this series. Then we've got the love triangle thing, which means that can be conflict with Misha. We don't know how it's going to resolve with Vicky yet. And of course, with Kimiko, right? Kimiko like reached out with this big offer, and then Carly's like, I don't know. And so even though like they kind of resolved it at the end, maybe it's not fully resolved. So I could totally see a situation where like the whole team can come right to the edge of breaking up. Like I could like see if all those issues hit on the right way, like that could make a really good story.
Yeah, I could see that. And then it almost falls to, I'd say Kimiko, because she's probably the most representative of the heart to try and keep it all together somehow.
I can see that too.
But I'm excited about Soulfinder. I'm excited about the Soulfinder crossover. That's what I'm.
Man, I still need to read Soulfinder.
Oh my god! Yes.
Yes, you do, dude. And I know Infinite Ascent is going to come out sometime soon. Now Doug didn't tell me any deadlines, but I do know like they're at the point like colored and lettered pages are coming out, so it can't be too far away.
Okay, cool.
And that's Soulfinder 3, I think.
Yep, that'll be the third one.
Yeah. And then after that, because I know like there's apparently there's plans at some point to go back and look at what was the name of Father Rudder's mentor? Help me out here, Joey.
Oh man, his mentor?
Yeah.
Crane? Was it Crane?
Crane, yeah, it was Crane. And yeah, because I know like Crane was talking with Father Blatty, and now that Joey's not here.
Now you find out that he's a badass too from back in the day.
Yeah, because someone did like a joke meme of Father Blatty's like face on the Soulfinder cover to make it look like Father Blatty was the Soulfinder, and it turns out he was.
Wow.
So that's like, I think that's the big spoiler. Father Blatty is a Soulfinder.
God damn.
Yes. And so, and I know there was some discussion about, for Father Crane, that they're going to go into his history at some point. So the idea like Crane and Blatty, like in Vietnam, like that's going to be one heck of a story to see.
That would be dope. Yeah.
The other thing that I'd be interested in is, I actually recently got a book called Marx and Satan. So that was, it was written by Richard Vermbrand, and you guys may not know who he is, but he is actually a very well-known Christian martyr who started the Voice of the Martyrs organization. He wrote a book, Tortured for Christ, where he was tortured in communist prisons for 14 years during the Cold War era, somewhere in Eastern Europe. And so like he would go on to like write tons of books about the experience and about other things. And it was interesting. He apparently, Marx in particular, wrote a lot of just like really weird and dark stuff, right, beyond his communist writings. Wow. And so like one of the things I'm wondering is if they do a reference to the Vietnam War, if they're going to be able to like draw on any of that material, because there was this idea of like communism actually as like an engine to not to save the proletariat, but to actually destroy the proletariat, destroy the comrades. Like they just destroy everything. Wow. Because apparently Marx in college got like the nickname Destroyer because he wrote so much about it.
No kidding.
Yeah, dude.
Man,
okay.
Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, no. You go on ahead, and then I'll answer this question by Spooky Pretzels here.
Honestly, I don't really have much to say since, well, I don't exactly read about the Cold War, and I don't really go into a lot of history. But that would be cool if the Soulfinder crossover gave any mention of Bradley back in Vietnam or the Cold War. That would be really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then just through all those proxy fights that we had with the communists there. So it would be interesting to see how that may turn out. And just especially because I'm just reading a book right now that actually just fits so perfectly into where those books could go. Wow. And so for those who don't know, yeah, so the book I just mentioned, I'll pull up the Goodreads link real quick and I'll put it in the chat. And it's a short book too. Although I will warn you, it is a pretty scary book to read too. But yeah, so for the question from Spooky Pretzels though, so what we're talking about is because we're talking about the different titles from Iconic Comics. So we've got of course Kamen America was the big one, and then they've done crossovers with Black Hops, but now they're gonna do one with Soulfinder. And I know that one, it sounds like there's going to be some redemption arcs involved with that. And then also, I've seen just from various YouTube interviews, there's some discussion about they also may go back historically, because it's this idea of spirituality along with veterans and war. And when I say spirituality, I mean specifically, with the Catholic Church and with exorcisms and with the spiritual battle with demons, right? And so what's interesting about that is that now that we know that Father Blatty from Kamen America is part of the Soulfinder world, it's a question of because he looks like just this happy little old guy. What did he do? It's like when if someone told you Mr. Rogers was this Vietnam veteran that that fought so many guys, right?
Yeah, that man, that was a bit of an eye opener. Still, it's just so interesting, I don't know how, I'm not sure how to put this, but under that very happy exterior could lie so many scars, memories that you've all those experiences that you've been through, and yet you carry this kind of zeal and enthusiasm despite that. And I think that's what Father Bladley, I think that's what he carries, at least I think.
Yeah, and somehow he's developed the ability to just decide okay, this is the time and place for this Father Blatty, and here's the time and place for the other Father Blatty, right?
True, very true. Well, I still need to read Soulfinder to find out, but
yeah, because he hasn't appeared in the other books yet, so this is the new reveal. All right, so Rob Crow's got another question. What are your thoughts on Lansky, his position in Volume 5? How do you think he'll be used in future volumes? And
which one's Lansky?
So Lansky was the promotional guy who's always been
agent?
the jerk. Yeah, the agent.
Yeah, he's a piece of work.
I think he's gonna last a lot longer than people think. He's gonna find creative ways to fail upward and fail upward. So that when he finally gets his, it's gonna be everyone's gonna be cheering, dude. I don't know. What do you guys think there? Yeah, the promo agent with Deku's hair. But what do you guys also just think about his evolution so far in the series?
gosh, man, it's like Lansky is really stepping up his game this time. Like he like back in Kamen America 4, he was pissed. Like especially after that betrayal, after that Vermilion Masquerade betrayal, like it's almost like he's out for blood. But he seems to be much more methodical about it. Like still rather snarky and very manipulative, but I think he has more cards on the table. But
I don't know. Like he is the little finger of the series. Like he's gonna do a lot of shady crap. He's gonna work behind the scenes. He's gonna whisper in the right people's ear, but he's never gonna put himself at risk. He's just gonna be that asshole in the background that's constantly screwing things up.
And he'll just find a way to escape.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Somehow he manages to fail up each time too, because he went from like just running his own little franchise. Although I say little, like he had a lot of connections, but like now he's gone international thanks to even bigger backers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that I do, like in my own story, have a comparable character, and I don't want to say too much about them. But the thing to think, like, and so because of that, I'm kind of like taking like the idea I have for my character and I'm like imposing it on Lansky when I say this. But in some cases, like villains can grow just as much as heroes do, right? Like Carly is like, she is starting off as this small town girl with good values, and she's going to grow to become something greater, right? Like that's the hope that we have for her. And in the case of Lansky, so far, each time he's had a chance to make a decision, he's grown more villainous, right? It's when he drives everyone away from him, and we all have real life analogs of this, right? Like there are some people, like they drive everyone away from them and they realize, oh man, like I hit rock bottom. I've done wrong. I need to change. But we've also seen people just like that. They drive everyone away from them and they say, it's everyone else's fault for leaving me. I did everything right. It's their fault. I got to get revenge. And I think Lansky is that type.
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't know. It's hard to say because Lansky has also had a lot of really powerful people kind of, making him do a lot of the things that he's had to do. So I keep falling back on he's just the bumbling idiot who makes bad choices. Like, is he a good guy? No. He's kind of an asshole, but I don't think he's evil.
Yeah, he might not be. I mean, I guess when you really think about it, I guess he believes that he's trying to do good. And there are some elemental evil villains out there.
Yeah, but it could also be the case that he's just willingly selling himself to them because that's just his next step up.
I mean, I don't know. If you go back to the first ones, like they straight murdered his business partner in front of him. I could see that being a pretty persuasive argument that he's going to do whatever they say.
Mm-hmm. Wait a second. Was that in issue 1? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
remember exactly which issue. I just remember it happened.
No. That was they held him at gunpoint at one time. That was
that's true.
Yeah. And that's because that was the connection to get Apex Moth to meet Vicky.
True.
That was the story there. And then of course, you're right. Then there was the Xeno Psycho character who it turns out like he was just hiding as Schultz for the Lansky and Schultz. So it turns out like Schultz was actually Lansky's handler the whole time. And to go with Mr. X's comment there, it's true that like we don't want to see that one go physical because he doesn't represent the physical threat, right? He's the one that he's the reputational threat. He's the one that if you hit him, you actually hurt yourself.
Right.
And in the same way, like he's not going to kill you, he's just going to hurt you in other ways.
I mean, just a little punch in the jaw, just a little punch. No electricity on it. Just one good crack on the jaw. I think he deserves that much.
Or a nice like open palm slap. Because he has definitely made some suggestions, even in issue 1, that deserved an open palm slap for sure.
I could definitely see him getting a headbutt.
Yep. Because he is quite the character, but that was the thing too, is that I do think he's been given some agency, though, that there were a couple of times that when everyone else left him, he says, I'm just trying to be the humble hero merchant, which apparently is a reference to another book, even, where somebody said that.
Like an iconic comics
I
book?
think a big
Or-
part of it.
No, not an
for
iconic
Lansky-
comics book. It's a book of someone who has picked on the iconic comics guys a lot.
I think a big part of it for Lansky, and we've seen this with the character, is he's had plenty of opportunities to get out, but he loves the spotlight too much. Like he's not. If he gets out, he's nobody.
Yeah.
And that's worse to him.
Yeah, because I do remember that was, of course, the scene with the car where it breaks down in Indiana, and who's that? Siggy's fixing it, and he calls him Cletus, if you remember.
I do.
Because
Yep.
I'll tell you what, because I grew up in Georgia, and all my family's from the Northeast. Like I have totally gotten that treatment from the people in my family from Rhode Island. Like that whole scene, like I get that scene so well. And I'll tell you one of them. I remember it was years ago at this point, but like cell phones had become common by that point. And my mother was one of the first cell phone owners because she did sales, right? So like it's great. Like, so of course, cell phones great for sales, even like when cellular was just coming out.
Mhm.
And we're at this wedding though. And I remember like my parents are pulling out their phone to make a call, and somebody says like, do people from Georgia have cell phones? like we're like all like hillbillies living in like dirt floor shacks or something.
Wow.
But like Northeasterners, I don't know. Like I'm sorry if I'm getting stereotypical in the other direction, but like I just had this feeling like Northeasterners have this thought of like everything past Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where the Amish live, like the entire rest of the country is just like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but honestly, that didn't really cross my mind.
Yeah.
And like I'm from the Northeast.
Yeah, because I know, was it also like Texas? I know people had that, like someone like legitimately asked once when I lived in Texas, like, do people all just like ride horses down there? It's like, no, we've got cars in Texas.
Wow.
It's actually really weird because when I drive through Texas, like it's funny because if you're going faster than the person in front of you, they'll pull off and let you go by. I had never seen that anywhere else.
Yeah. Yes, I have a couple good speculations here. But now I'll tell you, I'd say as far as like how advanced cities are, I would actually say Dallas and Houston were some very, very nice cities. Just of like all the ones I've either been to or lived near. Now, although in Dallas's case, it's more like restaurants. They have tons and tons and tons of restaurants. But in terms of just like, although I'd say actually best city I've ever been to is actually like cities over in China. Beijing in particular is a very nice city.
Ooh.
Best cities I've ever been to were not cities because cities have too many people. I really liked when I was up in Maine
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
because there wasn't a whole lot of people. I knew everybody. It was great.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm like more of a suburb guy.
Depends on the suburb, though. I mean, they're not all created equal.
Yeah.
Very true. I think the farthest I've ever gone from the country, I've been to like Florida.
I can't do Florida. There's these giant lizards that live in the water and eat people. Not doing Florida.
We did come across an alligator once. When
I was
living with my grandma.
down in I think it was South Carolina. Might have been North. No, it was South Carolina for a school when I was still in the Navy, and we went to this random restaurant. I think it was called Wreckfish or something like that. And I shit you not, we're sitting here eating all you can eat crab legs, and there's just an alligator down in the pond, like 20 feet away, and I'm like, if that thing just decides it's taking one of us, it's taking one of us. There's nothing between us and it.
Oh my god!
And we're eating crab.
Yeah. And by the way, for JoJo's comment there, real quick, as far as living in Texas goes, actually, I do kind of get that because I lived in Dallas for 5 years, and I know the problem with Dallas is just like you just like sit in traffic constantly everywhere you go. Because like that city
might have been in Florida. I don't remember. Either way, alligator.
You got to go pretty far south for that. Like I know, like when I lived in Georgia, it was like up towards the mountains, so it was the opposite problem, which was more like, was it like black bears and like occasionally mountain lions, and right, it's like that's your issue. Although, was it living in Michigan right now? We went up to Sault Ste. Marie in the Upper Peninsula. And we're at a hotel up there. And just sort of like we're packing up in the morning, and all of a sudden, like this like 300-pound black bear just saunters right through the parking lot.
Oh no!
Like bears just a little less scary, but mountain lions. The problem with a mountain lion is one, if you're moving fast, it will instinctually attack you.
Yes.
And two, you're gonna hear it right before you die, and they make a horrifying sound.
Good grief.
They do that whole row, and then you're dead.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Because mountain lions are pretty big. That's saying like compared to like
they go for the neck.
Yeah, they know.
Duly noted.
Although speaking of Texas, there was actually once like a mountain lion that like lived right next to the parking lot at my first job.
Really?
Yeah, one day it just like it decided to like sit on the hood of someone's car.
Was it a nice warm hood? Sitting out there in the sun?
It's Texas. You know it's warm.
Northern Jeremiah made a comment. He says, come to the great north of Minnesota.
I'm trying to think, how far have I been up in Minnesota? Because like I've been to the Twin Cities, but like I didn't go farther than that.
I have been as far as Minneapolis.
Yep.
I went fishing at one of the 18,000 lakes. So.
Yep. Yeah, we went a little bit farther once because I remember, I was in grad school. I had my Chinese friends with me because we were going to this like outlet store because we were living in Iowa at the time. And I just remember that like for our Chinese grad student friend, the Nike factory was in his hometown. But because of the export controls, it was cheaper for that Nike factory to like ship the shoes to this like outlet mall in the middle of Minnesota. We went, bought the shoes there, shipped them back to China to his family. And it was cheaper to do it that way because the import-export controls made it like so expensive in China that like it actually made sense for them to like send money and like buy the shoes over here. It was weird.
No kidding. Didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, like because those are like I think back then, like when iPhones were like $400, it would be like in Beijing, it'd be like 2,000 or 3,000 US. Even though they're made in China, like just weird controls like that.
Yeah, sounds very.
All right, man. We are going way the heck off on our tangents here. I was going to say for the audience, because we're on our second hour now, do you have any audience questions? Any more audience questions?
I mean, I don't see any.
Neither do I.
We've got a lot of people talking about the different areas.
Yep. So have we decided like which wild animal the Common Core should like stumble upon on their next adventure?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, I'd go mountain lion.
Yeah.
I like mountain lions in a, you know, beautiful and terrifying kind of way.
I was gonna say that's like I think Apex Motha needs to like get working on like some like super mountain lions then.
Honestly, I can't really think of anything. I mean, an alligator would be pretty terrifying. If they,
Yeah,
like,
but that
ever
or
rolled
like
into the
Florida
bushes.
girls got that covered. Like,
Okay, true. Fair enough. Man.
I mean, if we're doing a Soulfinder crossover, there's always the possibility of a giant cobra.
Yes.
Ah.
What would Mish's pet animal be? This was it. We've got for Kimiko, we've got the duck, we've got the capybara for Carly.
True. He's
So
such
what?
a, he's so charming. He's a treasure.
Yep. So okay, there we go. Jojo, a bear. That's right.
I mean, it would be a bear or a Russian blue. Like, I could see a Russian blue.
Wait, didn't Misha mention that like she wasn't Russian to begin with? She was just drafted there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
But she
'Cause,
would have a Russian blue, and then people would be like, "Really, really?"
'Cause that-
Misha? And she'd be like, "Yeah."
Because I was on the most recent episode about Carly watching the Nienfeld. She was speaking in Czech, so she's actually from Czech Republic.
Got you.
Wolf for Misha, yeah, I think Wolf would be pretty good. Or I can like lend her my husky.
Wait, you have a husky?
Huskies
Yeah.
are wolves.
No, they're not. They what is it like? They'll lay in front of the door and like not let their owner in the house, and then like when random strangers come up, they just like walk up and start licking them.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
so jealous.
For
They're moody
security,
too. Like my husky,
they are.
like because I was in the Navy, so I deployed, and every time I came back from a deployment, she was like, "You're not the alpha anymore. I've taken over this house," and I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna do this again." Okay.
yes.
Oh, how about for Vicky? What would her pet be?
Oh, that's a good question. Of course, because of this joke, a pet rock.
No, not a pet rock. No.
She's a geologist, dude. Can you imagine her like with like pet rock flakes and talking to it?
She should get a bearded dragon.
How about a mole?
A mole? Yeah, there we go. Although you're right, like for bearded dragon or iguana, like it could just like sit on top of the rock.
Yeah, they like basking, and they like to have their warm spot.
Yep.
And you got to make sure those temperatures are right, and keep your lamps at the right intensity. I
Yes.
have a bearded dragon. I like bearded dragons.
Yes, indeed. And I think in Petro Patriot, it's one of the allowed and domiciled species.
Oh,
Because that's like part of the dystopia is like they just have the weirdest pet rules. Because I just sit there and think like, how can I make these rules more weird? Like we've got like crested geckos and chinchillas; those are okay, but like rabbits, definitely no rabbits
aw.
or capybaras.
No, they're food animals.
Well, it's also because like if I wanted to like make a reference to Black Ops, there was also a time where there was this rabbit that like was fighting against the dystopian regime.
Oh,
Took out way too many soldiers and like we will never allow rabbits in our society again.
that's brutal.
As long as she doesn't make a mountain out of a molehill. Man, that's good. That's a zinger right there. Vicky is a cat or a platypus. I was gonna say, so we need to like keep this chat history. We're gonna have to like send this over to Mark or something. Like these are like the obscure fan questions that demand an answer.
Oh, that would be dope.
Carry him over to like the next
I mean,
Undertow.
the Zen Rangers are definitely going to be they're going to be a common adversary at this point. They're gathering information. They're learning the ways to counter the Common Core. The Zen Rangers are going to be a problem.
Oh yeah, the Zen Rangers really. I guess when they were first introduced, they had me confused. Like, I thought they were almost like rivals, but they turn out to be more antagonistic. Like,
Yeah, like
even that other one, that Hydro one, like she didn't really fight back either, and just it was almost like she was complimenting the core and also mocking them.
They're playing the role of rivals, but they're enemies, like straight enemies.
Figured. Okay, that explains a lot.
Although it makes you wonder too, like, could it be because they themselves have some kind of sponsor that's also sponsoring Lansky, and therefore they're enemies because they've kind of been told to be enemies, right?
I think Lansky is the face man for the group, but I think somebody far darker made the introduction.
Like a double agent?
I was going to say, like, that was that big surprise reveal of, what was that, Cynthia Prestige at the end.
That was interesting. I wasn't like surprised, but it was fascinating.
What I do know is that since they decided the capital of that business is like the pyramid in Memphis, I mean, now they've got the evil black pyramid for like the ultimate battle.
Okay, that can work.
It's a theory is they also got their power from chimeratons because chimeratons are common here. Now Hydro could actually like disembody herself, like actually become water. So the question is that a sign that Kimiko can like reach that level of power as well, or is there like something more to that? So, of course, I mean, although, again, this is a big thing to appreciate Mark's writing is he leaves just enough unknown that you got to, like, wait till the next episode to see what he's going to reveal next.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Nice,
that was interesting, too. That disembodiment kind of caught me off guard. Like, I thought that was a legit clone.
Yeah, like it really does.
It's weird too because it seems like where Kimiko can actually make ice, this girl can't actually control the temperature of the water. So that was interesting, or at least we haven't seen her do that.
Yeah, and then Xenar Tetno made a note of it. So what that actually makes me wonder, because remember this, Vicky could make the automatons, right? Right, like Vicky can make the little stab beetles and all of those things. Mm-hmm. And then you find out she did get some of her power from Xenar Psycho.
Right.
So could it be that even some of these Zener Rangers, could they be constructs? Right? Like there's another speculation right there. So that's my thought is that either like the Xenar Hydro battle, like either it's a sign that Kimiko has access to more power than she realizes, which would be pretty interesting. Or it could be that Xenar Hydro was herself some kind of a construct or is receiving power from some higher source, which would be a really great way to like make them the focus of like one or two sagas, and then that gives way to an even greater villain behind them, mm-hmm. which creates a very nice progression for this Kamen America story.
Would the Xenar Rangers kind of be like puppets to like an even greater evil?
Yeah, it's from a writing perspective, it's actually a really good setup for writing that defeating one enemy causes you to realize they were holding back somebody else.
Right.
And so in this case with Vicky, right? Vicky was just you find out she was really just a puppet of Lansky, and now we know Xenar Psycho, right? Mm-hmm. And so by fighting her, right? Like now like those two guys don't have a front girl to hide behind, right? So then that reveals the next layer. And so then that leads to, it's like, okay, so now we find this like next layer of people, but like maybe they're the front behind somebody else. Or I know another way you can do this construct as well is it can sometimes be like the enemy of the protagonist is actually fighting a two-front war where the protagonist is kind of like the rebel internal to like the antagonist, like kingdom or dominion or whatever. But then there may be some greater external threat that the original antagonist is holding back. So once he's gone, right, like now the bigger threat is a threat now. So that's a possibility as well.
That would be a lot to take in. Gosh.
Yeah, so that's kind of the question of like each time they beat someone, it's kind of like, okay, like there's a level up to that.
That's definitely one way of putting it.
Yeah, which I think the main bottom line for this is, even though I know I would like to do a story analysis where like I just like pull out all of the micro stories that are told in Kamen America 5 just so we can kind of see like why some people felt it was kind of confusing with all the different pieces. I can also see too, like there was an overall theme of leveling up in there. And I do think like we've just seen a whole bunch of hints dropped on that. And I do look forward to seeing like what the next pieces are going to be as they resolve.
That's true. I will personally admit that Volume 5 was a bit of a slow burn for me, at least the first time reading it. But I can understand why it was written the way it is, since, like you mentioned earlier, Mike, it's essentially setting up the groundwork for the upcoming saga. And I'm really looking forward to how this will turn out.
Yeah, same here, man.
Did anyone else notice a tiny little thing?
Which tiny little thing?
I don't know if it's indicative of the fact that Carly is leveling up, but her little swoosh of hair is getting longer and longer and longer with every single issue.
Like her.
So,
Yeah.
The
It's so long, in fact, now that it doubles back twice instead of once.
Oh wait, didn't she get it like cut off like battling Sylvia like the first time?
Yeah, but yeah, I do know though, Joey, that there was a commission art, because we were talking about commission art, in which someone did the ahoge such that it looked like a halo, and it seems like they're kind of going that direction.
Yeah, that had to have been Kafun.
Probably. There may have actually been another person who did it. Like, I got to pull up my collection here.
Yeah, because when she's not using her power and she's just she's just regular, it shortens back up. It's just the little boomerang shape. But when she's using her power, it goes all the way around and doubles back a second time.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting, though. Now that you mention it, oh yeah, I see the halo now. Gosh.
Yeah, and let's see. The username I tagged it with was CAPT Marvel. I think that's the first time I saw it, and because I don't think it was actually. I don't think Kafun was the first one to do the halo. So yeah, let's look it up. CAPT Marvel. Okay, no, that doesn't seem to be it. Okay, so apparently I have miscalculated categorized that image. Well, that's too bad. And I can't do my screen share right now either.
Oh,
All right, let's see if I got any others though for the Halo. But yeah, I do remember the Halo. That was the bottom line though.
yeah, I'm just seeing it too. That is wild.
Because you're right, it did start out as a curl. But again, this is one of those like, again, it was a piece of commission art, and then they decided, you know what, we really like this style. And it just went from there.
Yeah. That's such a cool detail.
Like I said, I like to think it's indicative of her level. She keeps leveling up. It keeps getting longer.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, now I see it again. I've got one from it's from the reference sheet. They added it to the reference sheet also. But I'm trying to remember who the reference sheet artist is. It's a because remember it was a Polish lady who's doing the reference sheets. Because they mentioned her once.
I think I may remember.
That being said, we have crossed the 2-hour mark at this point, so
Like quite a bit.
Yes, we have.
we should probably be wrapping this up soon. We don't want to say everything.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, fair enough.
Although what's funny is I'm also searching on Twitter for a Kamen America reference, and the first one that comes up is my crossover pick with like one of my series villains, Grace Sensor, trying to get Carly to eat the Soylon.
Oh, right. That was a good one.
Yeah, Voxmoth is going to be doing some more collaborating with me, is all I'll say for now. You'll actually see him in the comic book, but like he's a really good artist when it comes to like facial expressions. But anyway, so yeah, I think we can start shutting it down now. For all the guys who hung on, thank you so much for coming out for us
Hang
tonight.
on, I think I may have found it.
Oh, you did?
Let me share the link privately. I think I believe this artist did a character sheet for Carly and Misha.
Yes, they did.
Let me see if that's it. Or let me know if that's it.
Let's see. This was one of the earlier ones. So this was not the one, but you are right. Like this is Precia. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to share it with you afterwards. I'll share it with you over Twitter chat.
Sounds good.
But all right. But guys, once again, thank you all so much for coming on. It's been a great time.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
We will definitely have to do this again. I know we've got for the next 3 weeks, I think we've got just straight creator interviews, a whole bunch of comic projects again. And yeah, we'll probably just have to do like a once a month free play and then just say, man, like if you're a creator or if you just want to like come on and speculate about Kamen America or any other really good titles out there right now, this will be once a month the time and space to do it.
Sounds good. Look forward to that.
Nice. All right, so I guess if that's all, we will shut it down there. Thanks again, guys, for coming out, and we will see y'all next week.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.